Well, congratulations on Unexpected. I just got a chance to watch it.
Oh, great. What'd you think?
What'd you think? He said, holding
It's
his
fun.
breath.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I enjoyed it. Talk a little bit about the genesis of this project. Is this the first time you two have worked together like this?
No, we've acted in a couple things. I directed Patty in a web series.
And shockingly, we're still married.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story about that in a second. We produced the movie Amazing Grace, which was directed by Michael Apted, with Albert Finney and what have you. We produced that together. We've done a number of little things.
And we've acted together. He was Bill Parker.
Oh, of course, I was in Raymond. I forgot about that. But in the TV movie we did, which we also produced, we were sort of starring opposite each other. And the first day, I don't know.
The director came.
She's gonna correct me.
Let's just cut it. The director came to us and said, "If you guys don't get your act together, I'm not directing this movie," because we were fighting about something.
She was trying to give me notes, and I was trying to give her notes, and whatever.
It was all your fault.
Anyway.
Oh, I love that.
There you go. But the genesis of this film is we actually optioned a book in 2004 called Enslaved by Ducks by Bob Tart. Now, the book is it's a humorous and charming retelling of this couple that adopt some animals. And when we, wrote the screenplay, it didn't really work. So I turned to the writer, Rodney Vaccaro, who we'd worked with before, by the way, and said, we need a different engine for the story. I think it needs to be about a couple who can't have kids, who go on a journey of adoption. That's the engine that needs. And he goes, "Oh, what a great idea." He called me a week later with the draft. I said, "Wow, that didn't take you long." He said, "No, it poured out of me." He said, "I never told you this, but both my daughters are adopted." And we went, oh, we struck a nerve. And so the whole project caught fire as a result of that and into what you see.
Because
today.
a lot of the conversations between our hero couple, Bob and Amy, who, for your listeners, are can't have kids, and Amy wants to adopt and Bob doesn't, and so it's that journey.
Right.
A lot of those conversations were verbatim that Rodney, our writer, had with his wife. So I think that's why a lot of it really has been striking a chord with the viewers.
It certainly seems to be resonating with people. We've had people we've known for many years coming up to us going, that's my story. That's our story. And we had no idea. So it's kind of lovely that that people can see themselves reflected back in some way.
Yeah. And talk a little bit about how you two work as a team on a project like this. I assume you've worked out some of the kinks from the previous.
I'm gonna leave the room while this is
maybe not.
That's the way it works.
Either way, we want to hear about it.
Yeah, no, this is a good thing. We have a long-standing tradition of having one big blow up in front of the cast and crew on every project, but. This was unusual because it was Dave's first directing of a scripted feature film, and I was just a producer on it. But we sat together behind the monitor, and we're both very opinionated actors, and which is again astonishing that we've been married for 32 years. I think it's just that at this point, there's just too much stuff we would have to split up if we were going to get divorced, and we're just too tired. We're too tired to go through that. No, I jest. But I want to say
I'll get my coach.
But you only can have one director on a set, right? To go and talk to the actors. And so I would say, let me just give you my little input before you go and talk to the actors, because it doesn't work to have Dave going up and then me coming in with something else. But Dave would get so excited about like, ooh, I just make this one adjustment, that he would throw his headphones and start running. And I'm like, wait, I never know.
I think it's important that, joking aside, that you present a unified front to the cast and the crew. So if you have any squabbles or conflicts, you do it, behind the camera privately. And then you go out, and myself as one voice, I'll kind of present, the group opinion. Generally speaking, this is the only chance I had of actually being in charge, because in my house, I'm clearly not.
He's in charge of a lot of things, just not decorating. He keeps weighing in on the decorating, and I was just like, just let me do my thing.
But here's the thing: she asked me for my opinion, and I said I don't like it, and then she does it anyway. So
if I don't ask you, you'll think you're being steamrolled. Anyway, imagine working with us on set. This is what I thought. But no, I think it worked out really well. We only had really, there was one point, and this is an interesting thing about our movie. We had to shut down because of the pandemic. We only had 5 days left to shoot. The pandemic hit, and we thought, oh, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Okay, we'll be back in a few weeks. A year later, with a cast change, Dave had to reshoot about 80% of the movie with new cast. And so, that was a tough time. And when that actually happened on the set, we had to evacuate our hotel. And Dave was in the middle of shooting a scene when we got the word that we had to evacuate. And we had 2 of our kids with us working on the movie. And so, Dave was like throwing his headphones off again, saying, I got to get to the hotel. I'm like, no, you have to direct this movie. I'm going to the hotel. And we were kind of going at it so much that a neighbor across the street was watching us and came over and said, could I pray for you too? I was like, oh, I think we're being a little loud.
Yeah.
But we still have this great movie, Unexpected, and it's getting rave reviews from people who've seen it. Despite our best efforts,
we've got loads of stories about how the first and the second shoot went, and there's just so many different things that happened. It's amazing that I was able to finish it, to be honest,
right? Because
I didn't have long to shoot. I had zero room for error. I had storyboarded, which is like, for people who are not familiar with that, it's like drawing a cartoon of all the different scenes, and you map that out. And a huge shot list with the DP, Alison Anderson, by the way, who's phenomenal. So I was prepared within an inch of my life, because if we went an hour over, 2 hours over, I was in big trouble. So I had to make my days. There was no room for error, in other words. But then when we got shut down, it threw everything into complete chaos. We had to put all the sets in storage for a year. And as Patty said, I had to recast somebody. And then I was worried about if I could save anything from the first shoot, would it match? And of course, when we went back for the second shoot, there's snow on the ground, and I went, no, I won't be. Luckily, the sun came out when we started filming, melted the snow, and we had beautiful weather the entire time. Which I said to myself, oh, there has to be a God, because otherwise I'd be in big trouble right now. So anyway, a lot of things like that were happening, and in the end, it's kind of a happy conclusion to the whole thing.
Yeah,
people seem to be really enjoying it.
Yeah, so let's get into some of the meat of the movie, and it's about adoption, about fertility of these issues, but it's also about sort of the angst of being a couple, and how you relate to each other and what you're going to do with your lives. There are a lot of different things in it. Talk a little bit about what spoke to you in the script, and
I would say the word connectedness is a big part of it.
That was really important to me and to us, is to show these characters in a non-judgmental way.
Yeah.
Let them speak for themselves. And I think then by introducing the humorous element to try and disarm the audience as you're entertaining them, making them laugh, and then hit them with those emotional moments. But it really is about how we're all connected. And it's very life affirming. And I think, in a sense, if I want to be grand about it, forgive me for a second, it's my little ode to humanity post-COVID. All of us were going through so much crap during COVID. This film feels like a reminder of what's important and good about humanity,
And I also think, we don't shy away from some very difficult events that happen in this movie that are a surprise to the audience. But we personally know people that have been in those situations. And those friends that have gone through these things are still there today, and things have resolved and they're doing great. And so I think we don't want to shy away from the difficulties. We don't want to sugarcoat things, but we want to give the audience a sense that they are known in the universe, they are loved, and that we all kind of share our pains and our sorrows together, and that's what gets us through.
We're all made of the same stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Shylock in Merchant of Venice when he says, "If you prick me, do I not bleed?" I mean, that's really the great equalizer in humanity. We're all made of the same stuff. We've had some friends who've been through agony with infertility and adoption or not adoption, and and we wanted to try and reflect that in as honest a way as possible,
and still leave the audience with an uplifting message, a hopeful message.
So for both of you, did you have a single scene that spoke to you the most in the film?
Yes. I don't give it away. You've seen the film, so you know the one I'm talking about. But when Bob and Amy have a blow up outside the house, I've seen it 1,000 times, and I still cry because they both went to the most difficult of places emotionally in order to deliver that scene,
that performance.
And those performances were outrageous. I find it deeply moving. And it really resonated with both the actors. I mean, it was one of those moments, one of those special moments on set where everybody went quiet. And even, the grown men, the crew members, were having a quiet sniffle behind the camera. People were really stunned by that moment. And that's remains my favorite scene in the film.
And it's one of those movies where the whole crew came up to us and said, this is one of the best scripts we've ever read. And, there's a lot being shot in Oklahoma because they have a very lucrative tax rebate. And so they see a lot of movies being shot. They work on a lot of things. And to a person, everyone said that this is one of the best scripts they've ever read. So when the crew feels that way about a movie, and they're not, these are low budget indie movies. They're not getting paid that much.
They weren't working for big money, so they all invested in the script and in the project. They were 1,000% in, and for that we're eternally grateful because they worked their backside.
That's why we kept ordering food trucks to come to the set, because we just wanted.
Got to keep them fed.
Well, we want people to
good coffee and
know
good burgers
that they're appreciated, and we had some fantastic Oklahoma food trucks come. I learned that from Phil Rosenthal on Everybody Loves Raymond. He's a big foodie.
I learned that from Clint Eastwood, who's also a big foodie, and he. Man, the food on his sets, brilliant, was fantastic. And I went, this is the way to run a crew.
Yeah.
Do you think that the movie has a message? Was it a takeaway for couples at the end of it?
I mean, I know for us, and we learned this on the set, and it's part of the movie, is you have a shared commitment. So you see yourself as a team, and that takes precedence over like your individuality. At some point, you both are supposed to be serving each other, and in serving each other, you're working as a team. And I think one of the biggest issues, if you can conquer it, will make your life really happy, is communication. And that's for Dave and I on set. We realize we have to set out the way we're going to communicate and be clear. And I think for this movie, it's about both of the characters expressing what they're going through and trying to communicate and trying to come to some kind of understanding of each other.
I think, as you'll recall, Eric, Bob has an epiphany, and Bob and Amy have they switch characters almost 3/4 of the way through the film. And Bob's lesson, I think, is a lesson for all of us, is that suddenly he gets out of himself, he gets out of his depression by helping somebody else, by setting his own ego and his own individuality aside in order to help somebody else. That transforms his life. Of course, it drives his wife crazy because he hasn't been like that before, but eventually they come together because they realize exactly that if they they invest in their commitment together, they'll take whatever comes.
Yeah.
And thankfully it does work out. But I think that's the big message is what we do for each other is probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
As we make our journey through the world. Yeah.
Thanks for watching the You Interview channel. With over 3,000 original celebrity videos, we have one of the largest collections of celebrity interviews anywhere. So remember to like and comment on our videos and subscribe to the channel. If you want to get more involved, you can become a member of the channel. Membership has its perks. You can see exclusive celebrity videos and get the opportunity to ask our celebrity guests questions. We can't wait to hear from you.